Hey, dudes, little dudes, big dudes, all kinds of dudes, welcome. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and do it. Why not? And follow me on Instagram to stay up to date with the channel. So today we're doing something a little different than usual. It's not a knife review, it's not an unboxing. It's nothing to do with welding or anything like that. But I recently got this CJRB Large Maileah, and I like the knife, but it has a couple of flaws. Number one, it doesn't have jimping that wraps around the top of this front flipper, so I keep slipping off of it with my thumb when I go to front flip it. All good front flippers have jimping that goes around this hump, so that no matter where your thumb is, or if you're doing the top flip, no matter where your finger is, you can catch that jimping and easily flick it open. So that's number one. Number two, this forward finger choil needs to be a little bit larger. You can put your finger here, but it's a little small. You're kind of half in this choil and half resting on the scale here. So I wish that was bigger. Aside from that, I like the knife. So I think these are things that we can fix. I think I'm going to try to cut some jimping in around the top here. And I'm going to enlarge? Is that a word? Enlarge? I'm going to enlarge the finger choil area. And this is a relatively cheap knife. I got it for about 45 bucks, 50 bucks with shipping. So if I mess it up, I'm not going to feel too bad. So I think this is a good opportunity to show you guys how I do this. I've done this on a couple different knives. I've never added jimping onto a front flipper, but I have cut jimping into my own knives that I make. So I do have some experience with that. And I have enlarged the finger choils on a couple of different knives. So I feel pretty confident that I'll be able to do a good job. So we're going to go out into the workshop and hopefully change this knife into one that I like even more. Okay, so here we are out in the garage. I think what I'm going to do is probably take the knife apart to do this because I don't want little metal shavings to get inside these bearings. But I did put a little Sharpie line where that scale is because I want to be able to reference that. I want to be able to know where the scale comes down here so I don't accidentally cut back into here where I shouldn't be cutting. So let's go ahead and take the knife apart and then we'll get going. Okay, we've got the blade off here. I'm going to kind of just rough out with the Sharpie how big I want this choil to be. I'm gonna kind of just wing it, I'll take a little bit off, slowly take it off, and then until I get to a point where I want to be. Probably something like this. That's a bad line. I'm just gonna go for it. I do that a lot in life. I just go for it. Usually it works out okay. Okay, I've got my blade clamped in the vise. This is my my blade making vise, so I have some leather strapped on the jaws so it doesn't mar whatever whatever I have in the vise that I want to protect and keep it nice and perfect. So I got the blade in there. This is my die grinder. You can also do this with a Dremel, but I'm a welder, as you know, and I need something heavy duty like this. And this is just a carbide die grinder bit. You can get them at really any welding supply store or online. I would recommend getting a good one because they do go dull pretty quickly if you get some cheapos from Amazon or whatever. But I'm just gonna slowly take away material and see what we get. Probably do a time lapse maybe. Or, well, no, I'll keep it real time. I think it'll be pretty quick. Let's do it. Oh, always make sure you wear safety goggles or glasses when you're doing this because this thing shoots out little metal pieces of shrapnel everywhere. And I've gotten one in my eye before and I had to go to the emergency room to get it removed. So do not do that. Make sure you're well protected. Oh, probably should plug it in, huh? All right, let's take a look. It's a little bigger. I think we need to kind of extend it out this way more, take away more of that edge. I think it's deep enough. I think I'm just going to widen it this way a little more. Getting close. We're getting there. That might be perfect, actually. It's a little bit, I see a flat spot here, so I think I need to take out a little bit more just to make it a little bit more round. A little bit more right here. But I think we're about big enough. Yeah. Yep, we're getting real close. I'm gonna cut, I'll do that, and we'll put it back together and see what it looks like. Actually, you know what? Never mind. We're gonna cut the jimping in first, then we'll put it back together. Okay, I think we got it pretty much perfect. Yeah, that's a nice big choil. I figured we're already here, we might as well make it nice and roomy. Now you can kind of see the die grinder kind of folds down the metal on the edges a little bit. So there's kind of some burrs here that I'm going to remove with the file. So we'll clean this up, make it nice and rounded and comfortable, and then we'll move on to the jimping. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. That looks freaking good. It's gonna be so much more comfortable now. Now for the jimping, what I usually use is, they make these little tiny cutoff wheels for the Dremel that are really thin so you can get some really fine jimping, but I can't find any of those. I thought I had some, so I don't want to use a regular cutoff wheel because here's an example of one. It's really thick, so it's going to create really, fat jimping. You know, the cuts are going to be really large, and I don't want them to be large because the best kind of jimping, the grippiest, is the really fine stuff. So I think what I might try to do is use my bandsaw over there and kind of just, turn the blade on and then just kind of, cut it in with that. Gosh, that's the only real solution I can think of. I hope it works, but we're just gonna go for it. We're just gonna freaking do it. Let's go. All right, here goes nothing. It's not gonna work. I don't think that blade was designed to really cut into hardened steel like this, so I think we might have to just do a file. I don't know. Files are kind of hard because they tend to skip off of this hardened steel and it's hard to get them started, but we're gonna give it a shot. Let's see here, which file should I use? I have this triangular file that might work. Let's see here. we have this small square file. I think the rectangular one might be the way to go. I don't really have a thinner one. Let's pop it in the vise here and just see what happens. Let's see. Put it in this way. No, that's not gonna work, man. All right, let me figure something out, and then I'll bring you guys back once I figure out what we're doing here. Okay, so I looked around in my truck, and I found this cutoff wheel, which is much thinner. It's not as thin as I would like. It's not as thin as the ones that I've used in the past for jimping, but I think it's the best we're gonna get. So let's just do it. Let's see how it works. Grab my gloves here. They might turn out just as wide as these. Just as wide as the existing jimping, but whatever. Let's just do it. Here we go. Yeah, it's pretty wide, but let's keep going. Alright, well, it's definitely grippy. Let's take a look. The grooves are kind of wide, but the little peaks in between, I think, are gonna work. It does provide, actually, yeah, really grippy. Yeah, this is plenty grippy. I'm gonna do the same thing and clean up the edges with the file, and then let's put this baby back together and see if I improved the knife or made it worse. Okay, we're back inside. Let's get this thing put back together. See what we got here. It's got a D-shaped pivot. So that only goes in one way. Let's put our bearing on there. Let's put a little squirt. Little squirty squirt right on in there. A couple drops. There we go. Put a couple drops on the blade where the bearing is. That's not the right way. Put a couple in here. Actually, let me clean that out a little bit. Make sure we don't got any gunk. Drop, drop, drop. Stick our blade on the pivot. Okie dokie. Now where does our stop pin go? Is it all the way down there? That's interesting. Oh crap. Really? Well, I might have ruined the knife. So where the tang hits the stop pin is actually right there, and I just cut jimping into it. So, wow. Man, that's really my fault. I should have checked that. But that is a very weird place to have a stop pin. But let's put it back together and see. Maybe not. Maybe not, but I'm pretty sure the knife is ruined. but we're going to continue nonetheless. Man, that sucks. Well, hopefully I will save any of you from making that same mistake, because that sucks. Take apart your knives before you cut away any material, to make sure you're not taking away material where it shouldn't be taken away, such as where the stop pin hits, where the liner engages, any of that stuff. You do not want to take away material from there, or else your tolerances are going to be messed up and it's not going to be tight anymore. But maybe we got lucky. Let's try it out. Even if it does work, the longevity of this knife just got drastically reduced, because where it's hitting on the stop pin, there's not as much material as there used to be. So regardless, I definitely did a number on this knife. Oh gosh. But, you know, oh well. $45 knife, which, you know, still it's $45, but, you know, at least it wasn't a $100 knife. Let's tighten that pivot up, see what kind of, yeah, I gotta loosen it. Well, surprisingly, it is solid locked up, but look at this. We have play. Because that stop pin, wow, that stop pin was hitting right in the choil. That's so weird. See that? That stop pin is supposed to be hitting right where I took away some of that material for the sharpening choil. So I really did a number on this knife in both ways, with the jimping and with the sharpening choil. It does still function. I'm really surprised it's locked up solid still. I wonder how long that will last. Not very long, I'm assuming, but I'll keep you up to date on it so you know. I will say it is very, very comfortable. I really love the amount of material I took away for the choil. It is really, really comfortable. I mean, extremely, extremely comfortable. Sucks that I had to ruin the knife to get that. But, yeah. That sucks. Oh, boy. Well, you live and you learn, folks. I really should have checked where that stop pin was hitting before I took away any material. For some reason, I just didn't think of it, and I assumed that it wasn't going to be hitting right in the middle of the finger choil. And I assumed it wasn't going to be hitting up here, or up here, you know, because that's not usually how knives are put together. But in this case, it is. I will say the jimping that I cut in is very, very helpful. Super easy to front flip this thing now. Lots of grip, but at what cost? Oh gosh. Well, I hope you guys don't give me too much crap. I mean, you can. I deserve it. It was a bad mistake. Oh boy. All right, guys. Well, you can't win them all. It's important to learn from your mistakes. You know, that's the only way. Well, that's the primary way that you learn, at least for me. I learn by doing. I learn by getting my hands on something and figuring it out. And I will never make this mistake again, ever. So there's that. I'm not going to beat myself up. You know, it's a learning experience. And at the end of the day, I have a semi-functional knife that is very comfortable in the choked up position. So there's that. There's a silver lining. All right, well, thanks for watching that shit show. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Adios.